So today we're going to practice your roux and your bechamel and your mornay lab. So very French, ooh la la, but they're very, very easy steps that are really important for you to know how to do, because once you know how to do one of them, you can easily do all three, and then you can apply those for different recipes. So the first thing I'm going to do, if you can see the steam behind me, is I have boiled water for the macaroni. So the macaroni noodles we need to cook first. Those cook for 9 to 11 minutes, and so for your lab you want to make sure that you get those going first. Now, once you put them in, you want to make sure that you turn down the burner, because as we've talked about before, starches like to boil over. So I'm going to put these in, start the timer for 9 minutes, and those should be happy little macaroni by the time we're done. Okay, over here in this pan, I've melted a tablespoon of butter. So this is going to be the beginning of our roux. Now we don't need a huge amount of fat or flour for this recipe because there's only 1.5 cups of macaroni. So this is going to serve 3 to 4 people. Okay, so I've melted the butter over low heat, and now I'm going to take my tablespoon of flour and put that in there. And basically I'm going to cook this. I don't know if you can see, but it's started to bubble a little bit, and that's good. So we're making a blonde roux. Basically, if you'll remember from when we had cooked grains and starches before, the more that you cook a starch, the less the thickening power. And so we want to make sure that this will stay good and thick, but we also want to cook some of that raw flour taste out of the roux. So I'm just going to cook this and stir it around for a few minutes so that it doesn't burn. Kind of getting a little bit brown now, actually. Notice that I'm using a whisk, and mine is not a coated whisk because I'm not using a non-stick pan. For the kitchen labs, you're going to want to make sure that you use your coated whisk because the pans are non-stick. Okay? So this has gotten a little bit darker. So now I'm going to gradually stir in the milk. All right, so this was just the roux part. Now I'm going to make the bechamel. Okay, so I'm going to take my milk, and this is going to take me, 30 seconds or so to stir it in. You can hear it starts to get a little bit thick. And so you want to keep stirring as you're adding the milk, and you want to do it slowly too so it doesn't get lumpy. Lumpy bechamel is not tasty bechamel, right? So 30 seconds or so it's going to take for me to incorporate this. And this was only 1 cup of milk. So far we've had a tablespoon of flour, a tablespoon of butter, that was our roux, and now we're adding 1 cup of milk. All right, so now we're going to cook this over medium heat for a few minutes until it starts to get thick. Now I'm going to stir this because I don't want lumps. We want to break up those little fat and starch granules, and that's going to be what thickens this sauce. So right now it's not real exciting, but if you'll recall from our starch cooking, that flour eventually is going to soak up some of the moisture, and then it's going to start to get thick. And so the goal here is for it to get thick and bubbly. But we need to watch it. Milk has sugar in it and it will burn. It'll also boil over, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to stir it here. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera off for just a few minutes, and once it gets thick, we'll turn the camera back on so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so it's just been about 4 minutes since we turned the camera off. And as you can see, it's starting, the bechamel is getting bubbly. And so that then is starting to act as a thickener. It's getting those starch granules swollen and they're starting to thicken up the sauce. All right, so I'm gonna boil this just a little bit. And then I'm going to check it to see for thickness. All right, and it really looks like it's doing pretty well. A bechamel you can use as a base for all kinds of sauces, so it's going to be the base for the mornay. But it's kind of like, think about it like a cream soup base. So you could put this on vegetables, put it with rice or other pasta. Pretty tasty stuff. All right, so I'm gonna check to see if this is thick enough. So I'm just gonna take a spoon and dip the back in there, and if I can swipe my finger down and it stays separated, then we know that it's getting thick enough, okay? So we are going to now make our mornay. So put that aside. So basically, to make the mornay, all I'm going to do is take my cup of cheese and stir it in. And this should melt pretty quickly. So I'm going to turn down the heat. There's enough residual heat in here that I don't need to have the burner on. And as you can see, it makes a really nice cheese sauce really quickly. So, the French call it mornay, but I call that pretty darn tasty. So I'm just going to leave this sit on the burner where it's nice and warm until my macaroni is done, which my macaroni has another minute left to go. I'm going to drain it and then I'll mix the two together. So, whoop, there's my macaroni. Okay, I'm going to drain this and then we'll come back and I will combine the two for you. Okay, so I have drained my macaroni. It cooks for 9 minutes. I used my colander in the sink and I just put it back in the saucepan that I had cooked it in. And now we're just going to add our mornay to that and mix it together. Now, if you would like, you can add salt or pepper to this to taste. All kinds of other seasonings would be good. If you wanted to add some veggies, I know how much you all like vegetables. You could throw some frozen peas in here, maybe broccoli, or just eat it the way that it is. We're gonna have this tonight as a side with some baked chicken breast and a spinach salad. So looks pretty tasty to me. I think that'll be a great side dish, and I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy it when we make the lab. So please read your instructions carefully, and you should be good to go for the lab. Have a good afternoon.